Welcome back. I am Sarah Weiss of Passion and Pickleball. Welcome to the Spanglish World Networks on Zingo TV, channels 249, 250, and 251. You can download the Zingo TV app on iOS and Android app stores. Don't forget to rate and leave a comment. This app is free and is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku, and Roku sticks, as well as all smart TVs 2016 and on. It's good to be back from a little break. Last week, I was in the middle of moving from Canada to Edina, Minnesota. So, welcome to my new home in Edina. Here we go. So, I don't have like this huge intro set up for you. I just want to give you guys a little heads up of what's happening in my life since I've moved. First things first, something very, very exciting. I have a brand new sponsor, PB 1965. As you see, I'm wearing one of their amazing tops. I just wanted to share this because the owner of the company is an incredible human being, Randy Sussman, and the apparel that he has created for this community in pickleball is of the best I've ever worn. And I've tried all kinds of different active wear. And, on my first episode where I spoke about some of the amazing reasons why pickleball is so great, fashion was one of the things that I spoke about. The fashion and the apparel that PB 1965 has created for everyone is amazing. The styles, the fits, the cuts, but the material as well. This is high end apparel, and as soon as you touch it that it is just the best. So, if you want to get your hands on some of this incredible apparel at a discount, a 20% off discount, go to pp1965.com and use my code HECKYEAH20. You'll actually see it scrolling down at the bottom at some point, but it's HECKYEAH20, and you'll get to save some money on this incredible apparel. So I'm here. We are working really hard on something incredible. As I've mentioned, we are the owners of the Ernie Box, which is a pickleball subscription box that you get every 3 months that comes with tons of amazing goodies. We are sending out our first shipment tomorrow. So everyone who's gotten involved and supported the brand new project, you're going to be receiving your first box. And I cannot wait for you to open it because this is jam packed. So when you play pickleball and you start to get excited about this stuff and you want to get new equipment, new gear, new apparel, new everything, it's like the Wild West, kind of going online and searching for things. And you can spend a lot of money really, really quickly on all this fun, exciting pickleball stuff. Well, what we've done is we've done all the research for you. We've partnered up with the top brands in pickleball that support all players of all types, from beginners to pros, with the best gear. So we've done the research, we found the best value, the highest quality things, and instead of spending all your money at the top prices, we've been able to create a lot more value for a lot less spending, all in one box. So every 3 months you get a box that is, if I dare to say, better than Christmas. So we're really excited for everyone to receive their first shipment. We had to block out the list and have a waiting list because the first shipment sold out. So the second shipment is coming for March. If you want in on that, get on it right away before you hit the waiting list, because you won't want to wait. After you see people unboxing their first boxes, you're going to get so excited about getting your own. So get in on it. Go to erniebox.com and get it today. Today we have an awesome guest hopping on from Canada. So I'm not in Canada anymore. I'm like, I see American flags everywhere. It's super, super cool. But I miss my home country. I miss a lot of people there. One person who is back in Canada is Patrick Batty, who's going to hop on any second. And he's the owner of Pickleball Today. And there he is. Hi,
Hello.
Patrick. Good to have you. How are you?
Hi, Sarah. How are you doing today?
Fantastic. It's nice
Thanks
to
for
see
the
you
welcome.
here. Really excited to have you on. Obviously, you're an ambassador for Selkirk. We see you on your hat. So Patrick just started playing this year, and the amount of things he's accomplished as a front runner to help this sport grow is incredible. That's why he's here. He's the owner of Pickleball Today, and as such, he's interviewed some of the top players, including Ben Johns, Annalie Waters, Catherine Parento, as well as starting his own pickleball club. He's also a certified coach. He's a player. He kind of does it all in such a short amount of time. How do you handle doing all of this? What got you started?
Well, I am semi-retired, so that gives me a little bit more time. And I got hooked around, I guess it was beginning of April or late March. And first day I went out and got. First day I played at a community center where the courts were a foot away from the wall. I went to the net, tripped, and my head went right into a cement wall, and blood all over. Uh,
Ouch.
Embarrassed as heck, went home, said, "Do I want to even show my face again?" And so what I did is I used to play a lot of hockey, and I grabbed an old hockey helmet and I went back on day 2. Just got a bit of a laugh, got my self-respect back, took the helmet off and played, and I got addicted on day 2. So, but that's maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. But it only took 2 days. So and then jumped in with a number of feet, I think, as the year.
Well, the first question I always ask is why pickleball? Like, what was it that got you bit, in 2 days, like so addicted after smashing your head on a concrete
Yes.
wall?
Yeah. Yeah. It's that's not the best way to start. Well, even what got me out the door, it's a bit. This is a bit of a tragic story. My wife was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, or at least we could see the symptoms during COVID, and progressively got worse and worse. It took a long time, even during COVID, to see a doctor, let alone a specialist. By last September, we saw a specialist, and who did say it was Alzheimer's disease, and but she had really gotten worse fairly quickly. We went on a vacation in December that did not go well. But I learned a bunch of things about it. In vacation, we went to Cuba, which Canadians can go to Cuba, and it's an interesting place and pretty affordable for us. Interesting to see, but it didn't go well. And then I decided I'm pretty sure there's only one trip left. So as soon as we got home, I booked another one to go to a different location in Cuba in January, and that would be my wife and I's last vacation together. She ended up being hospitalized, and that trip did go well, and we'll remember it forever. And we don't talk. She doesn't talk much now, but she remembers it when I show pictures, and it went well. But anyway, in February, it got worse and worse and worse to the point that she was hospitalized 2 or 3 times, and then in the last time, she was not allowed to come home anymore. Which left, we'd been married a long time, for over 50 years. And I got married very young, but we've been married a long time. And I never saw this coming at all until, something started happening about 1.5 years ago. So when she was finally hospitalized, I'd been taking care of her at home. And, but was taking more and more and more of my time. As a result, my business, I do web development still. As a more of a part-time thing, but I still enjoy it. I've been in the tech sector all my life. And that suffered because I was answering questions with her and helping her pretty much all day long. When she was fully hospitalized, I thought I could go back to work, but frankly, I didn't want to go back to work all that badly. I needed a chance
Who
to.
does?
No, that's true. I needed a chance to recover mentally, and obviously, it's right to be depressed in that situation. If you didn't, there's probably something wrong if you weren't depressed. But I thought I got to get out and do something different. I played golf for 50 years, but I've never really got any good at it, to be honest. I played tennis though, and squash probably for about 10 years. And I was better at racket sports than I ever got at golf. I like the opportunity not to think too much. And thinking too much gets me in trouble. So anyway, I enjoyed racket sports, although I had shoulder surgery, 25 years ago that I've avoided. I'm a lefty, and my shoulder would pop out when I would serve, like literally out and in, and it hurts. It's like getting kicked in the, only fast, and it was hurt. Anyway, I had surgery on that, but I was pretty cautious and didn't really do that kind of thing again. Didn't bother me with golf. Anyway, I've been seeing everything about pickleball, and like you can't not see it as of this past March. So I went out and, ran into a wall and got hooked. And that's what got me there. And it, kind of started to fill my days for a while. And I just enjoyed it. Again, you go out and you're against beginners, you're against experienced people. Some experienced people will play down a little bit to you. Some will want to kill you no matter what. I wasn't too thrilled with them at that point. I learned a few things about dealing with beginners and in a reasonable way. But I just got hooked, and then I realized our community. Well, I realized two things. I was watching a lot of podcasts, reading a lot of articles, things like that. And I thought, I don't see anything about pickleball in Canada as far as news. I know there are a lot of pickleball clubs. I know there's federations. I joined Pickleball Ontario. I'm based in Cambridge, and I was going to our community centers. But our community centers were literally, we don't have many of them, and they are jammed. And we're a city of 150,000 people. And they literally were closing things down as the summer, we were warned about it, that as the summer was going on, indoor facilities were closing for various reasons. Hockey had to move indoors, of course. It's Canada. Playgrounds, which obviously that is a necessity. And this city doesn't have any or hardly any outdoor courts. So I thought, I'll start examining whether or not I could set up a club. And where am I going to find space? So I got tied up with the city for about 2 months and didn't get an answer. And by the end of June, or by mid-June, I had lined up a facility and funded it myself. And I set up a nonprofit club, Cambridge Pickleball Club. Joined Pickleball Ontario, Pickleball Canada, and that club's up and running. And we've got 175 members now. So it grew fast. It grew fast, and we're full, and we're full and looking for additional space. At the same time as all that, and I was, crazy, and I thought, let's do something else. And by not seeing a lot of news, I started thinking, well, I do web development. I could create a news website fairly easy. That's the easy part of the job for me. But how do you find the news? Especially, that's a tricky one, right? When you're one guy in a country as big as Canada, right? And that got me going. But maybe I'll leave for you to ask any questions about it. We just ramble. I'm sorry, Sarah.
No, you're good. First thing I want to say is that my heart goes out to you. That's a very difficult situation that you've had to deal with. I can't even imagine how, after 50 years of marriage, facing that.
Yeah.
I can only say that I'm glad, and I guess we're all blessed that pickleball shows up when it does. It seems like it showed up at the perfect time for you.
It did. You know what? I've talked about that a number of times. That people say it's a godsend, and it kind of was, I guess, because literally showed up the day I needed it by accident. I thought I saw something somewhere about it here in town. I saw that the community center had it. I had joined the community center with my wife, but I couldn't keep her to sit still to do anything. So it didn't work. But because I was a member, I got notifications of stuff. And so it really filled literally about 3 months. It took me about 3 months to build not just the Cambridge Pickleball Club, but also Pickleball Today. And that was almost full time. I still have clients. So I would do that work first, and then I would fill the rest of my day with either writing articles, anything to do with the club, PR. I did some radio interviews and newspaper interviews and things like that, which got us going. And then started covering the CNPL here in Canada as well, which meant going to their tournaments. First one being in Guelph. Well, I guess there was the recruiting one, or I can't remember. It was like the one where they had people tried out in Ottawa. I did not go to that, but I went to Guelph. I ended up then going to Edmonton, and then the finals in Mississauga. So got to meet all the owners and players and interviewed a lot there. And then got Steve Deacon and Jay DeVilliers invited me to come down to since to the PPA,
That's
and
right.
so that was kind of fun. You get to watch these. I actually, unfortunately, knew the names of most of the U.S. players before I knew the names of the Canadian players, because when I met the Canadian players, it was the first time I'd ever seen them. When I met the American players, well, I'd been watching them on TV all a good chunk of the year, right? So it was a very comfortable environment, and I was a little bit feeling a little out of place. They gave me access on center court to do photographs. It was like press access, and they didn't tell me any rules though. So I ended up breaking rules, and then I was told every time I broke them. So, like, don't interview people on center court because you didn't pay for uh, um, your center court privileges the way the Tennis Channel and CBS Sports did, or whatever other broadcaster was there that week.
It's better to
Uh,
ask for forgiveness than
yeah,
permission, right?
well, yeah, but you don't want to do it too much, or you will not be invited back too. So there's a limit to the forgiveness. That was the way I took it as. First of all, whoa, I'm pressed. I got all this stuff. Then I found out, well, not quite. And then I stepped on it a little bit, and was told about 2, 3 times, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. Okay, fine. So unfortunately, I guess the rules are in the press agreement, but agreements.
Who reads those things,
No,
anyways?
I just thought it was, yeah, I thought it was legalese. I didn't know there were real rules there. So it was great fun though, and they asked me, I was asked or invited if I wanted to come back. So I guess that was okay. But I realized, unless you have some significant sponsors, just like players, you can't be hopping around, North America to tournaments every week or two, because it's going to cost you 2 or 3 grand to go to most of them, right?
Yeah. That's
So
why you got to align with all the big fish to get you
yeah,
around.
I am not. I am not. I even pickleball today. I haven't really monetized it. I've concentrated initially on content, and I still have. I have a paddle company that I can sell their through it, so I've got that banner ad on it. And Selkirk, if you're an international advocate the way I am, technically you can't sell their paddles. So it's different if you're an ambassador in the United States, but not in Canada. So they give me great deals on stuff for myself or my club, on demos and things like that, but I can't sell them. So I appreciate that. So I'm repping the hat because I like getting the stuff
Yeah.
because and it's great. But I haven't monetized my site very much. So I'm gonna have to, if I really want to do the job that I'm hoping to do with it, I have to also focus on some level of revenue too. And I've had a couple companies talk to me and that. So the kind of things we write about are, that we've got videos like how-to videos, like people like that. We've got paddle reviews, people obviously like that. I'm going a little different routes with things, though. I'm a different demographic than you are, Sarah, and then what I see in most podcasts, where it's a much younger demographic than I am. But in my case, being a senior, we know there's a lot of senior players. A lot of them will travel, to various places. So I've been writing some reviews on various destinations and things like that. I've done the odd one about fashion that I like. I'm no fashion expert, obviously, but there's some I've had to change my wardrobe quite a bit in the last year because I've lost a lot of weight. And so I've been buying this Fabletics stuff that I really dig. Not a
Yeah.
sponsor. Not a
Pickleball
sponsor.
fashion, I'm telling you, it's a
Yeah.
thing.
But it looks nice and it feels good. And, so I dig their stuff.
We're gonna
Um,
have to get you into some PB 1965.
there we go. And it's even my initials. So there we go.
That's
I wish
right.
it was my birthday. I wish it was my birthday, but it's not.
You're gonna have to try it. It's amazing. But
I've honestly had a lot of fun. It's been hard with my wife, but
well,
pickleball has been a literal a salvation for me this year.
that's what I was about to say. Is I've said this many times. Pickleball saves lives. it saves marriages. Sometimes it can ruin marriages if you play together too much and you have a hard time with that. But in the most case, it does save lives. And to hear stories like yours, and I'm sure
Yeah.
you've heard multiple stories as well,
Yes,
even
I
in your
have.
interviews,
I have. Yeah.
that this is something that really pulls people together. It takes you away from the trudgery and drudgery of life.
Yeah.
Basically, life's not easy sometimes. It throws us some curveballs, and when you're on the court, it seems like other things kind of melt away, which is something that I've been very grateful for. What
Excuse
what
me,
are
you
some
heard me
stories
just
that you've heard in
pop
your
a drink. Sorry, non-alcohol beer.
That's
But,
okay.
anyway,
You're good. Feel free.
all right.
I would love if you've heard some interesting stories. You've interviewed some really amazing players.
Yeah,
You've been around some great people. The CNPL, I'm very familiar with. I
yeah.
actually tried out. Didn't have a great experience there, but that's for another day. But
Tough crowd, man. I know. I mean, I know one of the guys that I'm a member of two clubs, Cambridge Pickleball Club, and the other one is called Court, CORTE, and that's in Kitchener. I live about 8 minutes away from it, and they have got now. It's a private club, so an indoor and outdoor. And one of their coaches is a guy who tried out too. Shaquille Nobes is his name.
I
Wonderful
know. Yeah,
player.
I know him. Yeah.
You know him? We're a great guy. And he tried out as well and didn't make it. And I watch him play and I think, oh my God, how do you not make it? And I did see a lot of people, but there's a lot of quality players, right?
Hmm. Oh
So
yes.
Shaq is just, he's one of my two mentors there. And, helping me out quite a bit, just a generally nice guy too. So
That's for
the other
sure.
guy's
That's
name
for
is
sure.
Matt Pitts. So and I do really like that facility. Um, I do have availability during the day quite a bit, and that's open in the daytime. Whereas Cambridge Pickleball, we rent facilities from churches and schools, and that's all evening, and not even weekends because weekends get too expensive at schools. It's triple the rate for schools on the weekend, so we
Yeah.
can afford it for the fees that our members pay. Right?
That's right. There's high demand for pickleball courts and low supply, especially in
Yeah.
Canada, which was one
Yes.
of the reasons
Yeah.
why I'm down south, where it's a little more hustling, bustling. It's growing, it's blooming. So
Yeah.
I've been having some great experiences down here. So if you ever
Yeah.
get an opportunity to come down south and play, take it. The other day I got to play, and I took a PPR certification course that was ran and led by Sarah Ansbury. If you don't know who
I
she is,
do know
look
she.
her up. Oh my gosh, she's amazing. I've never received such incredible on point pickleball instruction. This was for a certification course, but I can tell why she's one of the best. Not only is she one of the best top female pros, but one of the top coaches as well. So it's been really amazing. I've been here for now 6 or 7 days, and I've already gotten to experience some incredible play. Lots of courts to play on. It's amazing. But again, Patrick, I would love to hear some of the stories that you might have heard that are worth sharing, whether it's a story that has saved someone's life, or something that has impacted someone so greatly. Actually, Catherine Parento is Canadian, so she was Canadian, or she is Canadian. She
Yeah.
moved down south to expand her career, and obviously, it's going very, very well. If you don't know who
Yeah.
that is, look her up. Look up these pros;
Probably
they're
the
amazing
number two
people.
woman in the world, right?
Correct.
Probably.
Yes.
At least in a break might have something to say with that, but she a couple of weeks ago she took Annalie Waters right to the finish, and Catherine could have won, maybe should have won, right? And it was no fluke. She's that good. Um, I just don't have the stories like that off the top of my head, but I will say Catherine really gave me the best interview of my year. Actually, her, Steve Deacon, Jay DeVilliers all did get really nice interviews, but Catherine was just phenomenal. She had just come off, her schedule when she's playing singles, doubles, mixed doubles, and going to the Sunday, the championship Sunday, and all of them. She's just playing like all day long every day. It just goes on and on and on. And I talked to her on the sidelines in Cincinnati. I talked to her on the sidelines once or twice, and she said, I definitely want to talk to you. And she says, but I got to wait until after I'm finished with my last match. I don't do any interviews other than Pickleball TV, or that wasn't Pickleball TV then, but whatever the host broadcaster after a match, but I don't do anything until after the last match. And after the last match, they go into the studio to do an interview if they win. And so I hung around for after her last match. She came outside, and this is probably after a 12-hour day that she had. And she's still in her, she wears the tank top all the time. And it was getting cool out there. And I had a sweater on by this point. She's inside. She comes out with this top, and she says, "Patrick, now let's talk." Well, we have an interview. I think it was about 15 minutes or so. She was as gracious and as friendly as anyone could be. And considering the length of her day, I was just astounded. And I know a lot of podcasts name names and take and don't hold back, but there were some people that were not particularly friendly. I won't do that. But in general, most players that I did talk to were phenomenal, and they realize that the fans are the ones that are paying the bills, and if you're spreading the word, I mean, you're only doing it to help them and maybe yourself, but to help the whole sport, right? And so Catherine, I'm definitely a fan. I was probably a little bit starstruck the moment I met her, but we settled in and it was just a fun interview. We had a lot of laughs about some things. And she had just come back from Quebec, I believe it was. She was on vacation. I think she was in Quebec before that. But I hope to look her up. I'm going to be in Florida myself for a number of months this winter, and I don't know. I've seen the tournament schedule, but I know she does some clinics there. But I might like to just see if she's going to be around again, and we'll do a little follow up because she's had such a phenomenal season.
Good. I agree, and I can't wait to have her on the show. Hint, hint,
Yeah,
Catherine. Nudge, nudge.
that's good.
We'll get her on soon enough.
Yeah.
But with interviewing all these amazing pros, what would you say is something that you notice about them that sets them apart, that makes them these amazing pros that they are?
Well, they are committed to bettering themselves. I mean, I can't imagine the number of hours people have put in. It's surprising how fast, if they were good athletes coming in from another sport like tennis, how fast they are able to get to where they are. Like you can see in 1 year or 2 years, some of these, if they were phenomenal tennis players, are converting over quickly. But the commitment, the drilling, just playing and playing and playing. I mean, there's a whole pool down in Fort Lauderdale area, the Anna Bright and James Ignatowicz and a bunch of those. And, apparently on the off days, they're all together, working out. You have quite a few, I believe, in Minnesota as well.
Mm-hmm.
Or a few anyway. I'm not sure if it's quite a few, but a few. And definitely there's a lot of pickleball in Minnesota. I think that was a great choice to go, other than maybe the weather. But
the weather's not an upgrade from Canada, that's
no,
for sure.
it's not right.
Minnesota here.
Yeah. No. It's not. Wouldn't have been at the top of my list if I'm moving to the U.S. But it's you have your reasons, right?
Yep. No, yeah, there's some great players here. I recently met Chad Flynn, who's a senior pro, great player. He's someone actually who JJ, my boyfriend, trains with and trains because JJ obviously has an extensive background in tennis as a pro and a pro coach. So yeah, there's definitely lots of talent here, which is very exciting. Not to say there isn't lots of talent in Ottawa. The talent pool here in the States is just bigger. So you get a bigger variety of different talents and skills, which is really great for helping us, expand our game. Every time I come here, and I've been here a few times, every time I come here and then I go back a better player. So that's definitely one thing about the States and anywhere that's really blooming with pickleball. When you play against the best, you start to become the best. You kind of become who you play with. So that's really, really exciting. And,
I think we find the talent pool, again, a little thinner in Ontario, but if you went to Alberta and BC, it would be immense as well, right?
Yeah.
One thing I should mention with pickleball today, while I was setting up the club, I thought, how do I set up? First of all, how many pickleball clubs have I set up? None. I did set up a squash club about 30 years ago, and that went well. Again, another nonprofit one. But I thought, I should try to figure out what the good ones are doing. And so I decided to run a contest on Pickleball Today called Canada's Best Pickleball Club. And what it was a national vote. Then it was done in a couple phases, about 3 phases. And initially, it's like, who are the best pickleball clubs? I knew some names, but I didn't know all the names, and I wasn't going to list 150 clubs on a list. So here, nominate your club or whatever club you think qualifies. Well, we ended up, again, the news magazine, even though it was fairly new, we ended up having like 140 different clubs nominated over, I guess it was about a month or month and a half. And the traffic on the website went nuts because of it. And what we did was, it's not just one nomination. To be included, the more nominations your club got, the more viable kind of it was, right? However, we had a lot of nominations for some small clubs. Logically, you would say, oh, only the big clubs are going to win, right? And we had a lot of nominations with some smaller clubs. And, they may have, jury rigged the situation or had their entire province vote or whatever. But the top vote getter in the nomination phase was the East Coast Rock Pickleball Club from St. John's, Newfoundland.
Okay.
And they are not the biggest club. I can't recall the number of members off the top of my head, but maybe 300, 400, something like that. We did have some massive clubs nominated, though, too, like Vernon and some others like that. But anyways, we did that. Then I wanted to level the playing field a bit for smaller clubs. And we picked like a top 10 from that initial phase. We narrowed them to get smaller clubs a better opportunity, or even clubs that didn't know about it in time to get a lot of votes, to submit articles to me that I would put on our website. And then I had a panel of 3 people. I didn't want to do another vote right away because I had a final vote to come. 3 people go through the articles we received, and we added 2 more clubs. I should mention also, just before that phase, the second most vote getter club in that early phase is called the St. Isidore Pickleball Club in St. Isidore, New Brunswick. Now, I don't know about you, but I have never heard of St. Isidore. Well, St. Isidore had more votes than they have people in St. Isidore. Pretty cool. And I think about a third of this town. It's not a big town, but it was like about a third are members of the pickleball club. So it's a really unique story, right? Totally, mainly a French club, mainly francophone, but so again, small and large. Then we finally went to the final voting, and the final votes were right down to the wire ended up to be Vernon Pickleball 1 and St. Isidore was second in all of Canada. So, but the cool thing was, when I got the articles from the top 10 clubs and all the others, I could see some continuity in what made a good pickleball club. And I'm going to kind of assemble that into a few other articles as well, as a little bit of a guidebook.
Well, what makes a good club then?
Well, well, first of all, volunteers, obviously. It's something it's hard for people to get. Even here in Cambridge, I got about 4, 5, 6 volunteers, but it's a struggle to get a lot. People are busy, even we as a small club need more, because otherwise it turns into a job for people, and then you start resenting it and things like that. The other thing that was consistent was community relations, which I wouldn't have thought of. And I've struggled with that here in our town. Our town's a little bit behind on many things, but pickleball is one. And there's been a little bit of a kind of lip service nods to us, but not anything significant. But the clubs that have done well and they've grown and thrived have had joint work on courts with their clubs, funding maybe for some tournaments, just community involvement in general. But they've given back to the community with it too. So it's a huge factor. I'd have to, go through these articles again to remember all of the stuff. But But just the fact that they established relationships with their either town, city, region, whatever it may be, and then showed them, by maybe some fundraising to help pay for courts, or that, with the community. So it's not, not trying to lay it all on the city or town, but showed them the value of it and the value of the health benefits of it, the psychological benefits of it, the social benefits, and things like that of the sport in general, and just what it can do for people. And by a club, it means you're offloading some of the workload from the city or from a community center. And I mean, so there's a reason for communities a reason, I believe there's a reason that communities should align themselves with a club. I have not been successful at getting that to happen in my own community, though, I would have to say. So nudge, nudge, Cambridge, I'm calling you out. But anyway, I realize we have a much bigger audience than Cambridge. But yeah, that was a huge thing. But it really was volunteers and community involvement and backing of some sort from the city seemed to be the most consistent things.
That's great to hear. This is a very united front. Like when you start to play this game, you make friends really quickly. You become part of the family, the pickleball family,
Yeah,
the pickleball
yeah,
community. It happens really, really fast. So it's not surprising to me to know that the biggest, bestest, favoritist clubs are the ones that are giving back to the community and getting them involved. This is a great sport for all ages, all demographics, kids, adults, seniors, men, women alike. Honestly, I've never seen anything that has united more people so well, so
yeah.
well. So that's really, I'm really happy to hear that. And it sounds like you've had a great entrance into this sport with a lot of ways. Aside from smashing your head on the wall,
Yeah.
it sounds like you've
Maybe that
really
woke me up. I don't know.
wakey wakey. Well, it sounds like you've done a lot of great things not only for your life but the lives of the people that you've touched. You coach, right? What's coaching
I do
like?
coach.
How would you describe your life as a pickleball coach?
Well, I coach. I only got into coaching because we needed somebody because we were getting so many beginners, right? And I mean beginners that have never played, and
Mhm.
especially in September, October, kind of what I call joining season. Um, like people want. I don't know why that is. It's maybe kids back to school, whatever. But it's a big time to join things, and so we had about half our membership sign up in those 2 months, and I had in the summer taken the clinic through Pickleball Ontario and the Tennis Professional Association, or Pickleball Canada and Tennis Professional Association, or maybe it was Ontario. Mark Renison, who is well known on Selkirk TV and PCI, what is it, Professional Coaching International, or Pickleball Coaching International.
Yeah.
He was contracted and became a VP of training with Pickleball Canada to do all this. So he did the live training. In Canada, we have a lot of extra coaching training you go through to do with laws, to do with dealing with children, to do with discrimination, all kinds of things to go through. So it probably ended up to be about a 40-hour course, and then the final 8 hours was on court with Mark. And I'll tell you, it was an interesting and challenging day. It was up at Port Carling. Port Carling is up in a resort area north of Toronto, in the Muskoka Lakes region, beautiful area. But it was 40 degrees Celsius that day. And it was in an indoor arena, of which probably wasn't air conditioned or may have been lightly, it was an old arena. So an old hard concrete floor. And we were literally standing on that floor for 9 straight hours, except for a bite to eat for lunch. And my back by the end of it was fried. I get a bit of a bad back anyway, but that much time on a concrete floor is tough. And there was really not much sitting. So, and to top it off, I was the very final person to be evaluated at the end of the day. So I had my assessment and really pretty much collapsed into my car after that. So it was a challenge for me. Again, I'd only been playing for 3 months, and I definitely was the least of any of the people that were there. Um, there's a funny part about it that they equal the playing field a little bit by they have you all do your training um, with your opposite hand. So if you're normally a right-hander, you're going to be doing this with your left hand when you're,
Hmm.
or at least when you were a student. When you were participating in the training with Mark. I can't remember exactly how it went around, but anyway, well, that meant nobody was great. So it didn't make me feel that bad anyway. But it's Mark is just an excellent trainer, and the way he teaches, I'm sure with PCI as well, with this through the Tennis Professional Association here, is to make it a fun day, or a fun 2 hours, I should say, a day for us, but a 2 hour or whatever length of session you're training. And it's not to overwhelm with rules. It's just to kind of get people to enjoy it, and tap the ball, do a serve. Don't overwhelm with rules, but then introduce a rule once once you get going. And so it's a little bit of a teach. You're in demo and play, and then make a game of it of some sort, and then get to your next topic. And throughout and I typically do it in a 2 hour session. You go from people having never touched a paddle to playing games on their own and knowing how to keep score somewhat. At least the four of them together generally can keep it on the straight and narrow that way. Knowing how to serve, knowing how to, knowing their not general court positioning for any level of advanced play, but just where you are when you're returning the serve, where you are when you're serving, and where your partner is. So it's not overwhelming. It's not meant to be advanced training. It's meant to be fun, so that number one, they have a bit of a fundamental, and two, they come back. And so you want to make it fun. And what I do after mine is I send out a review to all of my students after I teach it, a day or two later, and just to get some feedback, because I was fairly new at it. I wanted to see what they thought, and I got some nice suggestions, and implemented them into subsequent ones. In fact, I am teaching tomorrow night, so I enjoy it. Probably I enjoy that the most about the pickleball club. I'm not an administrator. I do not enjoy that part of it. I'm actually backing away from that whole process now that I have a board. And even though I'm the founder and the president of the club, I'm not going to be the president for long. I'm also going to be away for a number of months. So I'm going to back away from that part of it, because administration is not, just doesn't, it's not my thing. And, but building is, and I did a good enough job that we were there, and now it's some other people can build it from there.
You started the fire. You let someone else keep it fueled.
Yeah, and we've got some great members and great board members and things like that now. So, but I pretty much a month ago said, I don't think this is the part that I don't want. And then it gets to be work. And again, knowing I was going to be away, and also dealing with the stuff with my wife made it a little bit more difficult. So my focus really is more playing now, a little bit of teaching I do, getting better. I want to, I'm 69 years old. So I am not going to turn into a 5.0 player in the next couple of years, but I do believe a 4.0 player is in the cards if I keep working. And I'm probably most accurately, I'm a 3.275 player at this point.
That is very accurate.
Yeah,
very specific.
No, I don't even have a duper rating. I was in a couple tournaments, and neither one of them did duper. So I don't know, but I guess I'm around 3.2 or something like that, I would say.
Well, passion can carry you a long way. I know all about it.
Yeah.
I just noticed one of the previous show's guests, Ernie, just commented saying PCI is now an official partner of USA Pickleball. So that's good to know. It sounds like PCI is doing very well, and so is Mark.
So Mark, yeah. So I guess I expect what they have done is similar to what they did in Canada. So he took the PCI course and connected with Pickleball Canada. He's probably doing, although we are not members of PCI when you do it in Canada. In fact, you can't even join PCI if you're in Canada now. But I expect what he's done is the same program effectively. But it's great. Yes, I'm sure it's good. I mean, it's work for him. He's standing there on his feet doing that all day long and traveling quite a bit to do it too. So, but I'm sure it's a worthwhile endeavor for him. That's for sure. And he's a great teacher.
Well, it's what we need. I mean, again, so many people are joining this sport. They're coming like wildfire. So,
Yeah.
having good coaches and even just people who are happy to bring beginners into the sport. You don't have to be a pro player to be a good coach, and someone who is a pioneer to the sport, bringing others into it and helping beginners just get the confidence to be happy on the court.
Yeah.
With that, what's the future of pickleball today and Patrick Batty and the club? What's the future look like for you?
Well, the club I'm going to leave in other people's hands, so I can't say that. But if they can get more facilities, we can expand. We actually had to cap our membership at 175 because we were people couldn't book enough times, right? We play out of 3 facilities once a week, but each one can hold about 20, 24 people on 3 courts, and so it was getting people were getting backed up, and we didn't want to have members join and then not be able to play at all. So we decided to stop the membership until we figure out where we get more. And the club is still looking for that. I was still looking up until last week, but now some other people are. As far as pickleball today goes, I have more time to spend on that now. So I do, I try to get an article out every week. There's been weeks where I was so busy with the club that I didn't. Just like people with podcasts, sometimes you don't hit them, but most, you want to keep to a schedule. As much as I called it today, my initial goal was every day. No, that didn't happen. I really would like to bring on some other contributors. And I have right now, in fact, I mentioned Shaquille Nobes. He's volunteered to work with me and create videos, and he'll be doing training videos that will be included on there. If we get forward, we got to get permission at the court facility as well, because that's where we would be able to record them during the winter. So we will add some training videos to it as well, and just more articles and things like that. I will be I've been doing some travel articles, and now I'm finally going to travel. So I'll be hitting some different clubs in Florida, and hopefully getting into a few tournaments. And then, when I get the guy that I'm traveling with, an old buddy of mine, but he's a golfer. And so I'll be digging out the golf clubs and probably playing once or twice a week. But the pickleball will be, the 4 or 5 days a week. And that's going to be my focus. And I don't know if I'll get him started or not. We'll see.
Well, I wish you and Pickleball Today and your club all the best in the future.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll ask is, how can people contact you? It sounds like you're interviewing and you're running Pickleball Today. So there's obviously people in Canada watching who I'm sure would love to have you write about them. So how can they contact you?
Sure. The first thing is the website is pickleballtoday.co, not .ca. Somebody who had .ca wanted like 10 grand for it, and that was when I was new, and I said no. And .com was taken, and they wanted 100 grand. So we went with .co. So it's pickleballtoday.co is the website. I can be emailed at patrick@pickleballtoday.co. Pickleball Today. By the way, if you do look in the search engines in Canada, if you look that up, we'd be number 1. If you look it up for the United States, we're probably on the 2nd page for Pickleball Today. But definitely you can find us in Canada easily. People in the States, you might have to scan down a couple pages. And also we have a Facebook page, Pickleball Today. And myself is personally on Facebook at Patrick Batty. So
Awesome.
It's just PatrickBatty. So happy to talk, especially happy to talk if anybody wants to sponsor a nice newsletter with a focus on player. Basically, our focus is on the game in Canada or things of interest to Canadian players. So There are American things of interest to Canadian players, such as travel facilities, courses, training, gear that that's universal. And in Canada, well, we have Canadian pros that are also playing in the United States, even a few more starting up in the next in January. And so we write about that kind of thing, and we talk about gear, equipment, court building, stuff like that. All the stuff people need in the sport, whether that be in Canada or in the U.S. And we're having a lot of fun doing it. We've met a lot of wonderful people, including you, Sarah. And I appreciate you inviting me to come on.
Of course, and I'd be happy to connect with you as well, as I am a Canadian pro playing in the States.
Yeah.
So
We
anytime
could
you'd
write an
like,
article. We could give you a column if you would like.
I'd be happy to be part of it
That would be
anytime.
wonderful.
Patrick, it's been an absolute honor and pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing your story and everything you're up to and everything you're doing for Canadians and the whole pickleball scene across the world. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for the welcome. I appreciate it a lot. That was great. Thank you.
My pleasure. This
Bye-bye.
show can also be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out spanglishworld.ca for all news and programming. Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, live it.